But you know what? This is the comedy of errors, girl. You keep embarrassing yourself, I'm gonna laugh. Hi, I'm Danny. Welcome to my dark desk. Grab a sippy, a puffy, because we're here to talk about 90 Day Fiance, Season 12, Episode 12, So God Help Us. We're going to talk about two couples in this video. The first couple we're going to talk about is Debby and Mido. Now, I wasn't here last week, but apparently your girl Debby, in an act of desperation, has been holding her tongue just to get along with Mido. They were doing fun little shit, going kayaking and doing all the coupley things, and so she drove his ass to a chapel of some kind to, I guess, get eloped or where they would get married. And Mido turns and looks at her and says, "Meh, I'm gonna go home." And Debby falls out. She slams the door in the cameraman's face and she's like literally sliding down the wall. The episode starts off with Debby crying in the corner. Well, how many times does this man have to humiliate you? In the interview, she says she doesn't understand how his attitude could change so quickly. Everything was going good and then it's going bad. She doesn't understand. I'm sorry. I'm gonna stop laughing. She's literally having a panic attack, which isn't funny. I know. Her suffering isn't funny, but my dear, if the man isn't loving you the way you want to be loved, do not marry him. Get him a plane ticket back to Egypt and move on with your life. Get on those apps. Field is a great app, I'll tell you what. I don't know how long Debby was crying, lying in the corner, falling out, before Mido comes out. He tries to comfort her. He opens the bag and it looks like oh boy had a ring. So he's like calling her name and she's like no, and she's not turning around. He gets down on one knee, opens the box, and while she's crying, she has her back to him. She will not turn around. He puts the ring on the floor and I'm like, it's not good luck to put a ring on the floor, is it? No. But he holds her for a little while, kind of encourages her to turn around, and he gets on one knee and he's holding the box and he says, "I got you." And I'm like, what the fuck? I got you? Oh my god. Oh my god.
Molly, you in danger, girl.
Her response is, "I'm going to kill you." And he's like, "Oh, well then I guess I'm gonna go fly home now." And she's like, no. This is the worst proposal ever. If this is marriage, if this is the proposal, if this is the introduction to your marriage, throw it in the trash, man. Burn it down. He puts the ring on her finger, and in the interview he says he's been carrying the ring and waiting for the right time to propose. He was waiting until the timing was right, and so she surprised him with the chapel, so he decided to surprise her. But to make it seem like you didn't want to marry her and that you were gonna go home when she suggested like, hey, let's get married, is wild. There was a point where he was holding her and they were kissing each other after, well, they weren't kissing, but they were holding each other, and the way he smiled, I'm like, ew, does he really love her? Does he love her? Nope. In the interview, he says he thinks Debby's a good person with a good heart, and that they were both missing something before they met each other. And now that they're together, they are complete, they are one. Mido says it's not easy being with Mido, and Debby says that we're engaged finally. And I'm like, there's nothing good about this. I didn't expect a proposal. I didn't expect him to get on one knee, and I didn't expect him to have a ring. So maybe he will say he loves her, but as of now, he just said, "Oh, will you marry me?" And I didn't really hear her say yes. I just heard her say she was gonna kill him a bunch of times. This is dysfunctional as fuck. Moving on to Ashia and Maxwell. Boy, oh boy. So last week's episode, Ashia tells Rod, her godbrother, that she plans to marry Maxwell, and Rod went buck wild.
It's time to get buck wild.
Rod went nutty boo, implying that she's rushing because she's pregnant. This is a bad decision. This is a bad choice. She doesn't know him, all the things. And Ashia says, don't tell her siblings or her family that this is gonna be a wedding. Rod said, this is a mistake. You shouldn't do this. And I don't understand why you're rushing. It's like, don't you know you're getting scammed? And Ashia is like, no, this is the right decision and you're being disrespectful. And so Rod promises to come to Nigeria and bring her sisters. When this episode opens up, Ashia's on the phone with Patricia. I think we saw Patricia during the geese episode. Ashia's calling this woman while it's like 1 in the morning in the United States. Get up! And when they are about to pray, the phone hangs up and Ashia's like, oh, she blames the devil for it. I'm like,
sure, Jan.
Or maybe it's God saying, don't pray for this BS because I'm not blessing it. Maybe it's that. You ever think of that? God just saying, no, this is a sign that I don't bless this stuff? So she gets on the phone with Rod and she asks if he's told her family anything about the wedding. He says no. It sounded like he was lying. Fast forward, it's Rod, her godbrother, Glenda, her middle sister, Kathy, Aisha's mom's friend, and Jacola.
What?
Her eldest sister. So they get out of the van, they carry their stuff in. Aisha says that they're going to meet Maxwell and his family at a restaurant, so freshen up. And while everyone is freshening up, Aisha sits down with Rod and asks Rod if he said anything. He says no, he did not. It's not his place. This is your place to tell your sisters. And Rod says he doesn't trust Maxwell's intentions. The rush is what's bothering him. And she defends the fact that she is not pregnant. In her interview, she says that it's actually really offensive that he thinks that she is pregnant for various reasons, just religion alone. Here's the thing, what was the first thing she did when she hugged him at the airport? She said she wanted to eat him. If I've never banged somebody, I'm not gonna whisper that I want to eat you. So Rod asked if they do voodoo in Nigeria, and I was just like, excuse me?
Sounds so it.
And he's saying that they must have put something in your food or your water. And Aisha's like, first off, they do voodoo everywhere.
Yup.
And if this is voodoo, then I'll have more of it. And I'm like, okay, well, Aisha, you got a point with me there. Excuse you, voodoo is a substantiated religion as any other religion. It's just the people who do voodoo are black and brown, and that's why it's seen as evil or disgusting or deplorable. But, you know, we're not here for a history lesson. I really didn't appreciate him saying voodoo like that. So Rod is crawling up my nerves with that. And I appreciate Aisha saying, oh, you know, that voodoo is practiced everywhere. She didn't say anything good or bad about it, but she said voodoo is everywhere. It's a worldwide thing. And that is very true. Moving forward, Aisha is giving Rod tips on how to speak to Maxwell, and Rod is like, I'm gonna let him talk. Anywho, Maxwell is at the restaurant with his family, wondering, like, I hope everything goes well, but I don't know what kind of man Rod is. And he's hoping that, and he's wondering really if Rod is going to be friendly. When they get to the beach, it's so pretty. Maxwell and his family greets Aisha's family with a wow and hugs all around. The greetings and the introductions. Immediately, Aisha lets her family know that they're getting married on this trip. You're here for a wedding. Rod said, oh, it looks like you charmed Aisha really, really good. And at first I didn't think he said that to Maxwell's face, but Rod really said that. Oh, you must have charmed Aisha really good for her to want to get married right now. And Maxwell, I forgot what he said, but it was very charming. And Blaze asked point blank, how do you guys feel about Aisha getting married on this trip? They said that they were shocked. Now, Aisha's family says that they wish they knew prior to getting on the plane that they knew that this was a wedding, because they are not prepared for, and they wish they were more prepared. Aisha tells them the plan about doing a spousal visa instead of a fiancé visa and just resubmit the papers. And it's her oldest sibling that said, what if they deny the spousal visa? And Aisha kind of danced around it like, well, you know, we have more documentation, we have the marriage license, and that they should believe that a little bit more than a fiancé visa. Also, it's still going to take some time. And the sister's like, oh, so Maxwell, once you get married, are you gonna come to the United States?
Hold up, wait a minute.
And Maxwell's like, no, it still takes time. It'll still take a year for me to come through. In the interview, Aisha says that her family's playing nice because Maxwell's family is there. In other words, they would not be so polite and friendly. Maxwell's family starts talking about having kids, and Clement wants 2 girls and 2 boys. And Aisha's like, we'll have 2 kids and see where we go from there. Rod in his interview is just like, I can't believe they're talking about babies. They shouldn't be talking about babies now. Can he afford babies? Rod asks Maxwell, what are your professions? What do you plan to do when you get to the United States? Maxwell says that right now he does car brokerage, and what he would want to do, he also has knowledge of electricity. His dad is an electrician. Aisha's doing all the answering, and Rod's like, oh, can your husband speak?
I said, damn, bitch.
So Rod also asks, what's in your bank account, you know, given that you're talking about babies? And Maxwell is offended, but you don't see it. He hides it very well. And he says, you know what, Americans are blessed, but Americans do not work as hard as Nigerians. You guys have your machinery, you have your extra capital. We work with our hands in the worst conditions, and we keep working. And I was just like, yes, Maxwell, tell him. Then Rod says the only thing he knows about Nigerians is that they're scammers. And Blaze immediately rejects that. She's like, don't put that on my family. We are not scammers over here.
Are you crazy? That shit is so disrespectful.
Rod in his interview says that he thinks Maxwell is a smooth talker, but in person Maxwell says, I look forward to spending time with you alone, Rod, so that you could see what kind of man I am. Maxwell was very indignant and said that Rod is very ignorant to ask Maxwell about his bank account. Men don't ask other men about their bank accounts. And so I think Maxwell feels disrespected, but he kept his cool. And that is how their episode ended. Anyhow, that is my recap. Thank you so much for watching. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, do as you deem fit. Keep your sippy sippies, your puffy puffies close, but your instincts even closer. And I'll be sure to catch you on the flips. Bye. You know what I mean? That is for, you know, that's for, you know what I mean? It's for that talk.